I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
It's a Riverdale after show. Beanies being burned, bugs being planted. Betty's trying to get away with murder. Did she do it? Who knows? Gotta prove her innocence. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Riverdale after show, breaking down every episode of Riverdale, airing Wednesday nights here on the CW. I'm Frank Moran.
And I'm Katie Kawamoto. I will be manning the chat. Want to give some shout-outs real quick to Tony Stark 3000, Eternal, Shockwave, Mamba for Life Kids, some of our regulars. So welcome back. Welcome back, I guess. Sorry. Yeah.
We had a little vacay, so that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Welcome back. My name is Tara Terrell.
And, of course, making us look good and sound even better is the man who we couldn't do the show without. And that's Ryan Nelson.
Mamba for life, for sure, and I am in the booth, psyched to hear about Riverdale, psyched to hear about whether Jughead is coming back or not, psyched to have these three amazing super fans of the Riverdale show on CW talking Riverdale.
Us?
Wait, are we
You
talking
don't
about the
say.
same show, Ryan?
Yeah.
So, folks, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give it a thumbs up while you're there. And as Katie mentioned, the chat is up and running. But if you're watching this after we stream live, feel free to comment down below. So we're going to break down this episode. We'll also do our class president and class clown. Feel free to start chiming away in the chat if you want to give shout-outs to who you think are your class presidents and class clowns for this episode. Do a little news and gossip to round it out. But before we do our extensive and intensive deep dive into this episode, first I'll just get some general impressions. Tara, what did you think overall?
It was interesting. It was complicated. It was layers to this. Like I said, every episode I'm always amazed. Starting rum businesses, starting brothels, and now we're doing murder mysteries. I'm always amazed at the intellect and just the intelligence of these 17-year-olds. That's just me.
All right. Okay. Katie?
Well, as I told you guys before, I'm not okay.
I know,
Everybody
that's true.
knows that I'm a fan of Jughead, and he was in like 0.3 seconds of this episode, and he was a corpse. So I'm okay. I'm not doing too well. I'm really sad. So I'm wearing black, just so the chat knows. I'm wearing black until we figure out if he's really alive or until whenever. I don't know what's going to come first.
Well, I who knows, perhaps throughout this episode we'll see Katie go through the 7 stages of grief.
It's very possible.
That's true. We're going to wait and start seeing her bargaining. I think you're in denial right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, hopefully by the end of the episode we can get to acceptance.
I did
don't
get
know.
a little sad, though. Like, the sadness I didn't feel at the last episode when we found out he died, it kind of hit me when, you see FP at the morgue seeing his son. That kind of got me a little bit, because it's not easy for any parent to see their kid dead.
Was
So.
it a body double? I'm
I-
fingers crossed it's a body double. We don't know if that's
what I'm
Jughead or
saying.
not.
That's what I'm hoping.
That's how Cole got his brother a slot in this episode. So, yeah, you just be my dead body for this episode.
Exactly. That's my story. I'm sticking with it.
I like it.
Tara, I think you had like a great analogy. You're kind of like uncovering those layers. So I feel like I'd almost compare this to like a 7-layer dip. But if you found out like every layer was just something a little bit more bland, and so like as you're getting deeper into that, you're like, oh, this is gonna be good. Maybe there's some like good like spicy Mexican seasoned meat underneath, and it's just like, no, it's just like some
I'm
kind
so
of
hungry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I don't know. I mean, this episode was fine. I don't know.
So you weren't impressed?
I wasn't impressed.
Entertained?
No.
Oh, okay. So what do you think could have been better?
For me, I feel like we're being set up to have the big reveal, and I just feel like I was not enjoying the floundering, however real or pretend this floundering was in this episode, and plus Betty,
The fake
some of
blood.
Betty's action.
The fake blood took me out.
Betty's actions this episode, I'm like, okay, you're not as smart as you think you are, and you're making a lot of dumb mistakes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Their mindset to solve murder mysteries. I'm like, wow. I'm 30-something and I'm not solving a murder mystery. I'm like, I can't think that far ahead. I'm like, I did it. I didn't do it. I don't know.
Well, this episode starts out with finally us seeing something that we were teased with at the end of last season, and that was with as we flash forwarded at the end of last season's final episode into this year's spring break, which we saw right now, where we saw Archie, Betty, and Veronica burning their clothes and burning Jughead's beanie and swearing that they can never tell anyone about what happened. And then driving home in their clothes, in their underwear. I will ask because they each go their own separate ways, and we each get to see each of them come home to their parents, and they nobody sneaks in successfully. Everybody runs into their parents. Have either of you run into your parents? You stayed out way too late in high school, and you've had to come back, and your parents are waiting for you?
Yes, I have.
How did it
But
go?
I had my clothes on. So.
Well, okay, that's good. So you're already one step up above these three.
It didn't go so well, but I think if I would have came home with wine on my bra or like no clothes, it could have went worse. But I think at that age, when you're in your teens, like your parents know. I think mine was my mom. She like caught me in a little lie, and I think that's what it was. Me and my best friend. We thought we were smarter than our parents, 16, 17, and put those stories together. And my mom was like, that doesn't make any sense. But in my, premature mind, it made perfect sense, right? So. Yeah.
Did you get grounded or no?
I did, actually. I think it was like around 16, 17. I couldn't have the car. And, it was something else. Something else transpired, but definitely got to put on punishment.
All right, because all our Riverdale kids got away,
I was going to say that, that the way that went down with all three parents, it wouldn't have went down in my house like that. Let's just say that.
Also, I feel like Betty's mom got more upset when she found out it was wine than when she thought it was blood.
Yeah.
That's a little concerning, right?
It's
True.
fine. Well, I mean,
You had wine? And that's what you're worried about when it could be blood?
Well, I mean, but Betty's helped bury a body that Alice killed. So, she's used to that.
Can we talk about how Betty got aggressive? She had the audacity to have an attitude with her mom. When her mom was like, wait, what? She's like, I'm just so tired. I'm going to bed. I just can't deal with this. Ma'am, it is 3 o'clock in the morning. You show up with blood/wine on your bra with no clothes on, and you have the audacity to get smart. And her mom was just like dumbfounded, like just, oh my gosh. Yeah. My mom would have snatched me up real quick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel like that is one tactic where you just try to turn. You think you're mad? No, I'm mad because you think this. So no, I'm going to bed. Forget it.
I feel like their parents didn't dig deep enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Kate?
just like, okay.
Not that I remember. I mean, I didn't live a very, rebellious teenage life, so I don't really think so.
All
Nothing comes to my mind. I'm sure my parents might be like, oh, no, that's not true. We did. But, I mean, I lived in a small town. There's only so many places I could be, so.
Oh, nice. I did, and then was, you always have that awkward conversation when you come back home at 4 a.m. Why didn't you call? So I didn't necessarily get grounded, but I did have to mow the grass. That was my punishment, and that was no fun.
Yeah, see, I think mine was more so if I would have been truthful. But it was like half truth, So I think if I would have been all the way truth, it would have been like, okay, let's talk about this. But being that I wasn't 100% truthful, it's like, oh no, we're not going to get in this lion stage. Let's cut this out right now.
Well, it seems out of the three of them, the only one that's really having any trouble being dishonest, or at least, not telling the truth about this, is Archie. Mm-hmm. He's really struggling with Mary to be able to tell him, and even tries one time, and Betty shuts it down. Boom. Nope, don't you say a word. Would you do that, or do you feel like you got to have an open relationship with your parents? You got to be able to tell them anything.
I feel like you have to be able to tell them anything, because I feel like in this world, the people who have your back the most are your parents. Even though it might not seem like it when you're a teenager, but I feel like they have your back the most. So you need to always have that open conversation with you, because when the world turns against you, mommy and daddy will probably be right there, standing by your side.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I think it's important, but I feel like in the sense that these are high schoolers never want to believe that their parents know what's best. It's like I can do this without your help. I don't need my parents, kind of thing. And I feel like in that sense, it's kind of realistic how they're portraying it in the show. But we all know that lying is just going to make it worse.
True.
So maybe they should have more trust, but I don't think that teenagers want to tell their parents everything.
If I had to power rank them, I would put Alice at the bottom. Would not want to tell her the truth.
No,
for sure. If I wanted to try to get out of this situation,
Mm-hmm.
I would tell Hiram. Use his influence to get me out of this.
Yeah.
And if I just wanted to be honest and, come what may, stand by me, give me some tough love, whatever it needs to be, I tell Mary.
So why is Alice at the bottom of the totem pole?
Oh, come on. Look what she did when she gave Betty those fake the quiz answers and ruined her shot at Harvard. I'm not trusting Alice with anything.
She also went undercover. I still do this because, I mean, was she really undercover with a cult and she didn't tell her daughter? Like, I'm with you on that. I would not want to trust her at all.
Okay.
No way.
Look, okay, fair game.
Alice got a bad track record. So at the end of the episode, though, we do see Archie go into his bedroom again with his mom and close the blinds and says he's got something to tell Mary. Do you think he was telling her what really went down?
That's what's going to be bothering me until we know what he said. That last line, I was thinking, oh man, it's like doesn't really seem like there's going to be a cliffhanger. And then he drops that, and now I'm going to be thinking about it like, oh, what is it? What do you know something? Why are you not telling us? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
She has she's a lawyer, correct?
She is.
Ooh. Valid point.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he had to have, because, I mean, he closed the blinds. That seemed to be a very deliberate thing to make sure that Betty could not see in to see what was going on. Although I don't know why it needs to be in the bedroom. Just tell her in the kitchen or the living room, someplace where Betty can't see in so easily.
Betty's everywhere. Betty is everywhere. And she has that spooky voice.
That's true.
Do not say anything. Stop. I'm like, okay.
Just say it's Veronica.
Exactly.
Then you
have
to
to
go.
leave. End it now. Okay.
So not much else happens to Archie this episode, except that he finds out that Mom's friend, who was helping him earlier this season when it came to the boxing and stuff, is also really her girlfriend. And she comes back to town with a suggestion of, hey, maybe I can get you into the Naval Academy.
You know, I honestly didn't see that coming with the mom, that storyline with the mom and the girlfriend. But now that you just mentioned that, when she was telling Archie, you know, I want to have an open, honest dialogue with you and just relationship, now I do think that he is going to tell his mom about the murder, taking a step backwards. But yeah, I mean, kudos to her because she hasn't been happy for a long time, just in her love arena, because her and the father was trying to work it out, then they weren't, and they were living two separate lives. So, I mean, I'm happy for her. It seems to be working out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still early, I think, but we just got introduced, but she said they've been friends for a while.
No, that's very true.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
What do you think, Eddie? Do you like that development for Mary?
I don't mind it. It's more just that exact situations happen in multiple shows that I've seen lately, and so it's kind of getting repetitive, and I feel like they need to change it up a little bit. I mean, I recently watched it on another show where the mom isn't seeing a woman. So I don't know. It was more like it was nice, and like of course it's nice to see Archie supporting his mom, but it just kind of might have felt slightly forced. I don't like saying that, but it just feels like maybe they felt like they needed to have that be what the story was for her, and it was just kind of thrown in, I felt like. So I'm like 50-50 on it.
I mean, because if you look at it, Mary's kind of basically a blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's popped in and out throughout the course of the whole time the series has been on the air. And now, given the other less circumstances, she's in town more often. But we still don't know much about her at all.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's easy, I guess, you could put anything you want onto her at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just more just that it doesn't seem like an original way to introduce a lover, because I've seen it multiple times recently. That's the main problem I had with it. So.
Well, you said that Archie supports her. So do you think that he like really supports her, or he just hasn't had time to process it, or he just has all this other stuff going on? He's just like, okay, whatever.
I think,
works for you.
Yeah, what I liked about it is earlier when we all kind of laughed when he said yes to the recruiter. We're like, what the hell? Like,
Yes.
You seem very like, whatever, fine, whatever. I think it's a bit of both in the sense that I think he's kind of numb and he doesn't know what is what anymore, and he's trying to process it all. Like when we go through a lot, at least for me personally, when I go through a lot of stuff, I get to a point where I feel numb, and I think that kind of might be what Archie's dealing with, is he doesn't really know.
Right.
And he's trying to just be like, but we know he wants his mom to be happy. We know he wants her to be happy for her. So I think that part's genuine, but I think it is a lot too. That he's just trying to process everything.
Sure. I mean, and basically it's all on top of him keeping this secret that Jughead is dead.
Yeah.
And that they know what's going on. So I feel like, yeah, they can color it. But yeah, the fact that he's like, yeah, sounds great. I'll go to the Naval Academy. I'm like, why? Why even we bother with this? This is not going anywhere. I know it's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if the show stuck with it and next season was Archie in the Naval Academy, I'd be like, all right, cool. You guys stuck with something. But
Yeah,
like,
that
no.
took a
We don't see it.
side turn. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't see him doing that thing. So we'll move over to Veronica because the big thing with her is still, again, dealing with Hiram's illness. And she comes back to find Hiram and the rest of the family. And, I got to just bring up that family dynamic because it always seems a lot of them just sitting in their apartment waiting for Veronica to come back.
So stale.
It's like they're always just like, I always feel like they've been there like 20 minutes, an hour, and they're just like, nope, just sit here. She'll be home any minute now.
That's so true. And then she walks in, she's like, hey guys, always like shocked, like what's happening, what's going on. That is very true. The scene and the setup is always them just like, well, hello.
Yeah. So we've got all the lodges there. We've got Hermosa, we've got Hiram, and we've got Hermione, and it's all because we want Hiram to say, hey, I'm amending my will. Mm-hmm. And Veronica says, hey, you haven't even told me you're sick. Nobody wants her to talk about it, so I'm not going to sign anything if you can't even tell me what's up. Do you agree with Veronica? Or do you feel like she needs to be a little bit more sympathetic towards her father?
After everything he's done?
I don't blame her.
Right. I'm like,
But like I said, that this father-daughter dance between them, it's just getting repetitive and old. I understand why she does it, because she is very upset. He's done some pretty bad things. But at the same time, she needs to realize that he's sick. And he's gonna change his will if he's sick. So I feel like she acts a little bit too much on impulse and emotion sometimes, and she lets certain emotions take over and not think of the other things that she should also be thinking of. Like, everything goes one way to her, which is this argument with her dad. She can't go the other way. If that makes sense, what I was trying to say. Gotcha.
Dontera, Hiram is not the most honest person that we've met. He's always got some alternative agenda. What are the odds that this illness is fake?
Okay, we're on the same page. Were you reading my mind or what? Because I literally was about to say, but do we know if this illness is real? I feel like I personally, if he's ill, if he's sick, I don't think it's to the extent as he's putting off. And I wouldn't put past him if he's just not sick altogether. I feel like it's sort of like to pull at Veronica's heartstrings, the emotional capacity, and even his wife, who is dealing with his other daughter, who pretty much, they weren't together, they were together, they were on break, I don't know, but this other kid who came out of nowhere. So it's just a lot of layers, and I wouldn't put it past him if he's not even sick or that sick. He has somebody else's test, or he has some doctors on his payroll. Yeah. I need you to, and maybe that'll, stop Veronica from doing this rum business or this rum empire. It's like you said, it's just this father-daughter dance. You never know what's up his sleeve, even when it comes to his family, who he loves and adores. And I say that in quotation marks.
I would have to think that if it does turn out to be fake, it would have to be, like, enough is enough. Like, I think Veronica would have to step away.
Oh, yeah. I would hope.
Yeah. I would think, because, like, what if your father's lying about a potentially deadly illness? Then what are we...
I don't think she'll step away. What's that old saying? If you can't beat them, join them. So she played that little dance right along with them.
Sorry, Gratian Ryan just said, Veronica's family can give telenovas a run for their money.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. This made me laugh, so thank you for that. That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other frustrating thing, and I think it has to do with almost pretty much every parent on the show, is that we never see enough of them to have more investment in these twists and turns in their stories. Like, we see Hiram hardly, and then basically the last time we see him was like, oh, he's ill. Did you know he's ill? And we get to see him shake his hand one episode real quick. Like, oh, okay, I guess. But we don't really. We've seen him pumping iron in the gym. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We don't spend much time with Hiram or Hermione or Alice or FP or Mary to really care about these twists and turns. I feel like I want to care more about them, but the show doesn't seem to care about those characters that much.
As much as the kids?
Yeah. So it starts to me like, why should I care if it doesn't seem like the show cares?
Because it affects the kids. Come on.
But that's always how these teen dramas go. It's like emphasis on the...
Yeah, it does get frustrating
Teenagers.
for as much as they always say, no, this is different. The parents are also going to be given major storylines too. No, and it always ended just defaulting to be the kids. They're the forefront, and the parents just slowly recede further and further in the background. So then let's get to the big player. It's Betty. Betty this episode. Oh, I mean, of course, she's definitely the one that wants to cover this up the most because she is wrestling with the fact that I killed Jughead or not. Do you think that she truly killed Jughead? Do you think she was just set up to make it think that she killed Jughead?
Plot twist. I think she did not kill him, and that this is their plot twist. I'm telling you, they're acting out this book, Jughead's murder mystery, his novel. That's what I think. And then Jughead's gonna come alive, and ta-da!
He's gonna come alive. Ta-da!
Psych.
All right, well, let's get in. Do either of you think that, because Jughead, as we saw in the last episode we saw a couple weeks back, that he had a plan, but
Yes.
we never saw on camera him sharing that plan with anybody. So we don't know who knows what. Do you think any of the three, Betty, Veronica, and Archie, do any of them know? Do all of them know
About what's really going on?
about what's really going on?
So mine kind of goes into my prediction, but I'm wondering if what Archie was saying, I have something to tell you, Mom. I'm wondering if Jughead did come to Archie because it's his best friend and say, hey, I have this thing I'm going to do. Don't tell the others. But maybe he knows something and he's not telling the others.
Okay. All right. Dantera?
Do I think that Jughead told them beforehand?
Any of them? Did he tell Betty, the woman that he loves?
No.
Did he tell Archie, his best friend?
Betty's too impulsive. No, he definitely didn't tell Betty. I know he didn't tell Veronica. I don't think he told anyone, honestly. He was trying to maneuver and navigate this thing on his own. And I felt like at the point where he was at in his story and just everything, I don't feel like he could trust anyone as much to either reveal the plot or ruin the plot, just ruin it because they might try to intervene or step in or be like, no, Jughead, you shouldn't do that. Don't do this, So I don't think he told anyone.
All right. So then I'm going to ask both of you then. If you were involved with somebody and they did something like this and then later said, guess what? I was alive the whole time, but I was doing it to get these people. Would you say you're right, great job? Or would you want to just throttle them?
Okay, so if it means that I might get blamed for the murder in Betty's shoes,
Yeah.
no. But if I'm not in Betty's shoes and the murder isn't framed on me, okay, I'm going to be mad at you for a few months, It might be a physical altercation.
All right.
A little toxic relationship, but we can move past that.
All right, yes. Okay. Katie, could you move past it? It doesn't seem like you could.
I'm again, 50-50. I hate that I've said that a lot on this episode, but I would be pissed. Literally, I would be pissed. I would be because I'm a crier, so I know for a fact I would mourn. Unlike a lot of people in the chat are saying they didn't mourn very much for losing their best friend. I cry a lot, so I guarantee you I would be just in hysterics over this if I was Betty. So I would be pretty mad if I found out that I had to go through that emotional turmoil, and he wasn't dead. But at the same time, it's hard because they're going through all this other stuff, and you'd be happy they'd be alive, but it would take a while. Like what she said, I was like, it would not be an easy thing to just be like, oh yeah, we're fine, you're alive, yay.
Right, but
No.
also, look, in addition to that, I was just playing on my last question answer, guys. But I feel like that's an ultimate red flag for psychopaths. So we're gonna have to
Really?
we're gonna have to go our separate ways.
If somebody's a psychopath, that they fake their own death to catch some bad people?
To the extent that they're
They're trying to catch some bad people, though, Dantera.
bad people. Okay, those people at Stonewall Prep. I just feel like a good old school fight just needs to happen, and then we could just move past this because all this tit for tat and we're faking deaths and murder mysteries. That's too much. That's on a whole nother level. I need you guys to come back down.
I could, because there's a scene in this episode where when Jughead's body's finally found and Betty goes to the morgue with FP to identify it, and they close the door and they look at the body and you see them react to it, and we saw that flash forward several episodes ago. But then we continue past that and we see Donna and Brett, they open the door. and you see Betty get really angry and slam the door back on them. So part of me thinks that I could see Jughead not telling Betty because he wants those reactions to be genuine. Because knowing that Donna and Brett are going to be checking every bit of this to see, is this on the up and up? Is this true? And so does he want to rely on Betty kind of fake acting that she's outraged? Better to keep her in the dark, to play that she's genuinely outraged, to really sell it to Donna and Brett.
That's a valid point. I mean, we already know from this episode she is not a good liar right now.
Yeah.
So, on a side note, Alley Cat Diva said, I have a feeling if someone knows about Jughead's plan, it would be Archie. So,
and that was
one's really thinking that Betty's
she's
really
not the
involved
go-to.
in this. Yeah.
Not this time around.
And sadly, that was my least, chosen pick. Our last episode, I was like, I would never tell Archie. He's too terrible. But we see though that one person that Betty does reach out to is Charles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're all waiting for the other shoe to drop on Charles because we know he's been talking to Chick in prison, that they're in a relationship and they're looking to do some payback. Mm-hmm. But Charles just continues to keep helping Betty. Do either you think he's conflicted, or he's doing this in a way to also set Betty up for even more failure later?
I'm gonna go with your second.
He's just pretending to help her right now, and then it's all just set it up for everything to come crashing down later.
Absolutely. Even when they were in the diner and he put the evidence on the table, I'm like, sir, with the rock, and she was like, he had it held up at the diner. I was like, oh, he wants them to get caught. That's what's happening right now. That just seems so odd to me. Like, you're not above the law in that capacity to just be, here's a bloody rock. That's the real thing. And exchange it in the diner like that.
Well, the weird thing was that he does the eye roll when Betty says, put that away. And he's like, oh.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So,
All right. Katie, what do you think?
I think he might be up to a short game and a long-term thing. I feel like he is trying to help Betty, but there's something else going on. I don't know if he's trying to get back at his mom or he's trying to loop Betty into it, but there's definitely some shady stuff going on. But you have to earn someone's trust before you can, unless you're gonna just be their enemy from the get-go. So
how do you guys feel about the way that this Charles story has been playing out? Because we did see that little tease with him visiting Chick in prison, but since then, nothing else. We saw him earlier recording, then visits Chick in prison, but since then he's just, pops up every so often. I feel like the pacing for whatever's happening with Charles hasn't been that consistent for me this season to really care about what's going on.
It's going to be a pop-out in the finale, though. That's what's going to hit you in your face right then and there.
Yeah, but then are you going to be like, that was great, or are you going to be irritated that it just came out of nowhere?
Well, it depends on how it's played out. But like you said, it hasn't been consistent enough, so I can't give you an educated answer to how I think it will play out because it hasn't been consistent.
Yeah, well, Brian Alexander said there's so many villains right now: Charles, Brett, Donna, Evelyn, Chick. That's the valid point. How are they going to wrap up all this unless they're all connected? It's a lot to wrap up in, 10 episodes?
Yeah. And I feel Riverdale never does a really satisfying job in wrapping up their plots.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I think they stretch things out too long.
But they never wrap things up.
Yeah.
For example, we thought we were done with the cult, but Evelyn is still here. And we all want to see that cult be just, no longer involved in the show. At least me. I'm so over everything that had related to that cult. So they just need to end some things before they pile on 4 new things.
No, that's true. I mean, I could see in this episode with Evelyn her rationale for wanting to get involved with this, which is to give Betty payback and to get her, whether real or set up, in prison along with her to suffer as much as she's not suffering. So that does make sense. But again, I agree with you, Kitty. If we do not say a final farewell to Evelyn, I'll be frustrated because I don't need to hear pop up in season 5. I'm still here.
Still here.
It's your trigger word. You know what it is? So we got Betty talking to Evelyn. We got Betty talking to Charles. We got Betty, being the boss of Archie. Yes. You can't be doing all this at all. Writing out, I did like how she writes out all her conversations that she's going to have with FP in her notebook, and just to follow her script.
And it was very convincing. It didn't sound like she was reading.
She should do that more often. Just saying.
It was very convincing. I was like, wow. Okay, it didn't sound like she was reading or anything at all.
It's like she was playing a really good game of poker, and that was her poker face.
But we see at the end of the episode, she meets Donna a few times, and we find out there's this dragon's breath involved, where it's some kind of dust that they could cause you to black out, and so they think that's tied into it as well. But at the end of the episode, which I think was so frustrating with Betty, she meets Donna again, and Donna's all like, "Why did you show where Jughead's body was? That's what because all the evidence is going to point to you killing him." And she's like, "I'm the ultimate wild card. And the worst thing you ever did was try to mess with me, and I'm coming just for you. Only for you." And then she starts labeling everything she's doing. Like, why are you telling Donna all this stuff? I'm training with the FBI, and I'm doing that. And
She's pulling a Veronica.
Yes. I'm like,
Showing her hand.
Like, why are you telling Donna all this information? There's no need for you to be telling this. Why are you giving her more forewarning about what you're capable of?
That's true.
Maybe just to get in her head. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, a lot of the preppies, as they call them, are all about mind and getting in your head and psychological stuff. So maybe she's trying to do that.
I guess, but it's also So as she reads down her resume that says you're going to regret ever having me in your life.
I mean, I think that's valid. I mean, we all remember Dark Betty and everything else she's done. So it's I totally was on par with that statement. I was like, yeah, you don't know what you're going into.
Did you guys realize that unless her and Jughead had the same jackets, but she was wearing Jughead's jacket, the jean jacket?
I put that in my notes.
Yes.
I said her at the coat at the end. I don't know if it was actually his. It looked like it though because it was big.
Right.
But I did notice that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you guys think that symbolizes? Like her love for him, or her I don't know.
I think it's like when someone passes and there's a thing that you have that's theirs, because she burned the beanie, so she can't keep the beanie. So, and they didn't have his vest, so yeah.
That's true. Well, I guess we should do some class president and class clown.
All right.
To find out where we will crown the best person in this episode, but we'll just kind of impeach the worst. Yes. So, Tara, I look to you.
Okay.
Who's your class president and class clown this episode?
So, class clown is going to be Betty. She's a clown this episode.
I don't disagree. Nice.
The art project with the paint, and I'm like, okay, Betty. And also just showing her hand too much, I think. Even she got caught putting the bug in the room. And why was the bug flashing that red light? I'm like,
yeah, I've never seen a bug that flashes red.
Yes, me too.
Because all I'm thinking about is like when Brett's sleeping.
Yeah,
He's
me
gonna
too.
see it,
yeah.
Yes, that's why I was like, okay. And then class president, I'm gonna go with Archie, because Archie is a very consistent and loyal friend. He has his downfalls, and that annoys me. But one thing, he is ride or die for his friends always, and just the people in his life that he loves and his community. He always shows up. So Archie's my class president.
Nice. All right. Katie, who do we have in the chat, and any of their thoughts?
So far, the only person who has responded so far has been Brian Alexander. He agrees that the class clown is Betty. And then I will let you guys know if somebody else sent us anything else. Oh, Eternal Shockwave says class president Archie, class clown Betty. I'm going to agree. I know it's not very different, but I agree. Betty, I just could not with this episode. She's the lying. She just needs to rehearse it. I don't know, but her lying was awful. And then the painting the rock, just like you said, it was just bad. And that's all I need to say about that. But I think Archie, he seems the most realistic in the high school kids to me. He seems like he's kind of dealing with things in the way I would believe a high schooler, at least I would have dealt with things. But also, he went and attacked Brett, okay? And, I like that he did that because I hate him. And that was a very Archie thing to do. I'm going to go attack this guy because he killed my best friend. So, wasn't the smartest thing, but it was realistic. So
that was my favorite scene in the episode, especially Brett's reaction when Archie calls him out. He's like, oh.
He's not so tough anymore.
Yeah,
huh?
I did enjoy that. I will agree with both of you. Archie for me, class president, and Betty. Oh, Betty. You're class clown. Folks, we'll transition to that to find out some of the hottest Riverdale news. And for that, we'll go to Katie at the Riverdale News Desk.
So I'm sure most people have heard by now, but it was announced earlier this week that 2 of our regulars, Skeet Ulrich and Marisol Nichols, will be departing after this season. They both took to Instagram to talk about their time on Riverdale and kind of say their statement. They did statements elsewhere too, but Ulrich said on his Instagram, and I believe we have a photo from it, but it says, "I can't even begin to thank you all for the unwavering support and love. It is remarkable. It was remarkable and deeply appreciated. I may be leaving Riverdale, but my experience over the last 4 years will never leave my heart. A very special thanks to Roberto Aguirre Sacasa for giving me this opportunity." And then Nichols also posted to her Instagram. It was a big group photo of everybody, like one of the ones they would use for the production, for the advertisements. It said, she posted saying, "I'm incredibly grateful for my time on Riverdale, my second family. These are friendships that go beyond set life. Portraying Hermione Lodge was a joy, and working with this cast was an honor, truly. The best part has been all of you. Without your enthusiastic embracing of our show and these characters, we wouldn't be here. Thank you for the opportunity to entertain you all." And then also, given the fact that they are departing, the creator Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, I think I'm saying his name right, he did mention that, of course, they're always welcome back in Riverdale. So, I don't know if that's a spoiler about the season, but he's saying that if they ever wanted to come back, they could.
Mm-hmm.
I will always think about Marisol Nichols. Just the potential of what Hermione could have been and what never came to be.
Yeah.
That character was poised to be so much more and just never got a chance to be fully actualized. And I feel disappointed because she's been kind of marginalized as the seasons have gone on. And I feel like that's disappointing. But Skeet Ulrich, I've enjoyed him in this series, and I will truly miss not having him not be a part. I think of all the parents, he's probably been like the most heavily involved in the storylines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, he just became sheriff. There's so much stuff that you're like, oh, he's not gonna be there anymore. We just got him as a sheriff, and we all love that, I think. So I'm pretty sad about that because I think he adds a lot of dimension.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, any scene with him and Jughead are great, but then this season seeing him with Archie a lot.
Yeah.
And stepping into a father figure, I thought was great too.
Absolutely.
Any other news, Katie, from the
Nope, that's it for this week.
Oh, that's it for Riverdale news. Well, then why don't we wrap it up with some predictions? I know. That Tara's like, all right, we got to predict something.
No, I got something. I was waiting.
All right, she's on it.
Give it to me.
So, oh yeah, I like that drum roll. So, I guess to add to the news, I think FP is in on this whole murder mystery. Jughead. I think if Jughead might have told his dad about his whole plan, because remember when Jughead was going to plead his case, and his father's like, "Why didn't you do anything? Why would you just give up like that?" And then that was like the end that we heard of it. And so that's why I feel like he's playing the cards as well. He's the sheriff, and so Jughead probably told him all of the things that they do at Stonewall Prep, and dynamic duo, father and son, they're gonna get him.
All right.
My prediction.
I like that.
I feel like all the things we've been saying about like, oh, he staged his death and this person knows, I feel like they have a bigger plot twist than any of us are expecting. I'm hoping that it's something none of us can see coming in the way that this unfolds. That's my prediction. It's a very vague prediction, but I think that might be more complicated than we think it is.
Mine, as I'm going to say that Hermione's the one that's been videotaping everybody because she's had nothing to do. So
What?
She's had nothing to do for years, so that's why she's just been videotaping everybody and sending in those videotapes.
I do have a prediction on that, though. I keep forgetting to say it.
Yes.
I think it's Charles that's videotaping everybody because he's the one that has all the surveillance footage.
Yeah.
So I think that's him. But yeah.
Really, I think it's Hermione.
I just want to neck chop Charles. Just, he is just like, punch him in the throat. I know I'm not the only person. Guys, I'm really not this violent. I know I've been saying a lot of violent things, but I'm really not a violent person.
Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the Riverdale After Show. On that enthusiastic note from Dontera, she's coming for you, folks. She's coming for you.
Coming for you.
As always, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thank you everybody for hopping in the chat. But if you want to follow any of us, even after the show's over, Ryan, where can they find you, sir?
Find me at Ryan Nilsen, RYNILSEN, and on the Star Wars News Show every Thursday at 4 p.m. on the Popcorn Talk Network. Katie, where can they find you?
I'm Katie. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at KT_Christine, or on the Batwoman After Show at 10 p.m. on Sundays, or on the Con Guy with Ryan on Monday nights at 10 p.m. on Popcorn Talk.
Nice.
Woo, she's bringing that heat. Let me tell you.
Dante, you got your Oni. Bring it.
Okay, let's do it. So you can find me on all social media at Dontera Terrell, and that's spelled DONTAIRATERRELL.
Oh, very nice. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the Riverdale After Show. We'll be back here next Wednesday night with an all-new episode right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.